If you're watching me right now, well, my name is Benjamin Akakwu by way of introduction, and this is the AM show. I'll tell you what, you've made the best choice on morning television. Thank you for your company. Now, coming up today, it's going to be a fantastic Friday. I can guarantee you that. As we have our news review, we have something interesting, big stories for the morning. We're going to be focusing on the Assin North MP saga. It's an MPP-NDC tussle, and both sides are divided over this matter. The civil case, the criminal case, but the NDC is insisting that as far as this situation is concerned, it is an attack, a victimization on their membership. We'll also be talking about the UTAG issue. The court has directed that the employer, together with the arbiter, the NLC, and membership of UTAG should settle it out of court. But what exactly does that entail? What does it mean? And how is this situation going to resolve that juncture? Well, we'll bring you details of that. And as we discuss all of these issues, we'd love to hear from you watching us this morning. On social media, the hashtag is AM Show. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are on these matters that we're going to be discussing. Fantastic Friday coming up. You don't want to miss a beat. It's all going down on the...
Good morning and welcome to the AM News with me, Mapita CBD. In our first story, the Economic Community of West African States is demanding an immediate release of a timetable from the military regime in Burkina Faso towards the return of the country to constitutional rule. Burkina Faso will remain suspended from all ECOWAS activities with further sanctions in the offing if the demands are not met. This is contained in a communique reached by member states at an extraordinary summit called by the regional bloc to find solutions to the security concerns in the sub-region. President of the ECOWAS Commission, Jean-Claude Cassiburo, who...
As you know, there was a coup attempt in Guinea-Bissau, and the authority firmly condemned that and also gave full support and solidarity to the President Umaru Sissoko Embalo, who was able to really manage to restore the situation, and also a stabilization force in Bissau to help in maintaining the stabilization of the country. So this is something that we will do very, very rapidly to ensure that those type of attempt of a takeover by the military by force really is not...
So that such girls do not drop out of school. According to the GES, the dropout rate of girls keeps increasing as teenage pregnancies surge in many of the regions in the country. Speaking of the distribution of laptops to junior high schools, teachers in the Central Region, Regional Director of Education, Martha Osu Ejiman, suggested more should be done to ensure pregnant girls stay in school until their delivery date and should be supported back to school after.
Dropout rate of girls. In the Central Region alone, nearly 11,000 teenage girls got pregnant in 2020 alone, a figure that has left many worried. At the distribution of 8,973 laptops to junior high school teachers in the Central Region, Central Regional Director of Education, Martha Osu Ejiman, indicated a collaboration between
the region and the boys, and we are sensitizing them. When they deliver to, they come back and continue. If they get somebody, parents should take the babies and take care of them whilst the young mother attends school. So we are sensitizing, and last year there were a lot of activities to educate collaboration between the home and the school. But you know, most of the schools, all the schools are there so far as the basic level is concerned.
District Director of Education for Abra Sebu Kwamankese, Justina wants recipient of the
ICT functional. There is the need for the provision of the needed facilities. My question here is that who is responsible to provide, protect, maintain ICT facilities? I'm taking this opportunity to urge all teachers and also learn out of it.
The laptops were distributed to teachers of the junior high schools after their counterparts in the senior high schools in the region were said to have received theirs. The Ghana Education Service is assuring a lot is being done by government to shore up the ICT infrastructure in the country's schools. Reporting for Joy News, Richard Kwejenyako, Cape Coast.
Deputy Minister for Local Government, Martin J. has reiterated his commitment towards improving the standards of education in the area. The legislator, after providing financing, ameliorated the difficulties parents go through at the start of each academic year. There's more in the following report by Anas Sabit.
Each year, scores of people who are aspiring to further their education gain admission in various tertiary institutions across the country. To help address this worrying menace, the Member of Parliament for the Techiman South constituency, Martin J. Mensah-Kosa, has established a local scholarship scheme to aid brilliant but needy students in the area attain their academic dreams.
This program is part of our commitment over the years. In 2018, we set up what we call the Teachers Awards program, where we reward deserving teachers and non-teachers. This exercise today is to also give a push to the students who need support to be able to receive from them for support from schools. The number over 320. Yes.
The move, according to the Member of Parliament who doubles as the Deputy Minister for Local Government, forms part of efforts to enhance education in general within the Techiman area.
We all agree that we are in the education age. To have a sound educational life or to sound life today, one must have that a lot of focus must go to that sector to be sure that people who really desire to be in school are given the needed support to be in school. And so it's just due to the premium or importance that we place on education and the fact that we want our bread, of course, Techiman as a whole.
However, admonished parents to ensure that they contribute towards keeping their walls in school to help shape their future.
I believe any parent who dissuades their child from being in school may be infringing on their human rights and to a larger extent the laws of Ghana. And so we keep sensitizing and educating people
that the scholarship scheme will contribute immensely to their successes in life.
It means a lot to me. For instance, our school, if you are owing, you will not see your results. Up to now, I've not even seen my results, whether I've passed or failed. So, because of this, it has helped me very much, and it's good.
To SS, it's not easy. I struggle a lot before I'm able to, complete SS. So, Honorable able to help me to, receive something that I can use to support myself in education. So, I'm much appreciative about that.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Techiman.
The Ghana National Association of the Deaf wants government to legally recognize the Ghanaian Sign Language as the official language of the hearing impaired. Communication of the hearing impaired. The group is also appealing to the Ghana Education Service to ensure sign language is incorporated into basic school level curricula. Emmanuel Bright Kweku has more.
That is Kakra Ankobia, project coordinator of the Ghana National Association of the Deaf. He is not deaf, but has learned.
I know he didn't understand what I just signed. Most of us are just see the deaf people, we see them moving their hands, and we seem to think that it's just some gestures they are throwing around, but they are communicating. The deaf person cannot learn Hausa. The deaf person cannot learn Dagbani. The deaf person cannot learn English, but you can learn sign language.
Most developments, according to the deaf community, communication still remains a major hindrance and negatively impacts their access to quality education, employment, and healthcare. Marcos Stanley Nyako, a lecturer at KN University, and Emmanuel Asumedu, an entrepreneur, are amongst the over 110,625 deaf people.
Lecture. I have two interpreters that I use. So I stand in front of the class. One interpreter interpreter stands in the middle of the class, one interpreter stands at the back of the class. Even though on my resume it shows that I have done this work for a very long time, and they could even call my former boss and contact him. Still,
accessibility to quality education for children with hearing impairments in Ghana has become a mirage. Director of the association says it is imperative for the country to recognize the Ghanaian Sign Language. Juventus Durina is executive director of the association.
Ghanaian Sign Language should be accepted as the official language for the deaf people. This is because on education, if Ghanaian Sign Language is being recognized as official language, there will be a for instance, if sign language is recognized today as a language, it means that deaf people can go to their school in their neighborhood. It means that government will have to provide interpreters. So then the inclusive education policy will now come to play.
From Kumasi for Joy News, Emmanuel Bright reporting.
The Parliament Chief of Pandai in the Northern Region has Pandai Wura Nana Bresam Okre Otoso II has also given an ultimatum to chiefs in his traditional area to acquire ICT skills or risk losing their stools. Omintira has more in the following report.
Pandai, the capital of Pandai district, is one of the deprived communities in the Northern Region. Deprivation is so real that imaginary ICT lessons are held at Source of Hope NGO, a computer laboratory equipped with internet and a library have been donated to the community. The chiefs and people met the news with ecstasy. The paramount chief of the area, Pandaira Nanabre Siam Okore Atosa II, is asking the 52 members of the Pandai Traditional Council.
A computer lab in the town. Why don't we run to go and learn how to do it?
He has prescribed the dress code for chiefs attending ICT lessons.
One will have to be in a tie, clean dresses, then you enter there. But you should be neat. No dirty person is allowed to go there.
According to the Pandaira, not only is knowledge in ICT proof of any ICT illiterate candidate nominated for chieftaincy position.
Formally, we put people who are not educated and they can't read, they can't write as chiefs. But this time, we have learned so much that getting this computer, nobody would like to say back. You will learn it. We have half of them, they've been to school somewhere, and then because of money, they drop out. Date of the chieftaincy.
For officials of Source of Hope, the desire by the elderly to embrace and acquire ICT knowledge means their target has been achieved. Fred Osei-Yeboah is Vice President of Source of Hope.
For us, we've achieved what we want to achieve. Because if the elderly are embracing what we've done, can you imagine what these high school kids and the ones who are near enough to go into universities, the drive that will come out of them?
From Pandai in the Northern Region for Joy News,
Bidiako has handed over a 2-unit classroom block to the Hachukofe number 1 and number 2 basic school in Toko in the Kietsu South municipality of the Volta region. Dr. Asar Bidiako financed the construction of the block after learning that inadequate infrastructure is impeding academic activities in the school. There's more in the following report.
The Hachukofe Basic School was established in August 1961 in Toko in the Ketu South municipality with 6 learners. It now runs a kindergarten, primary and junior high school performs low at the basic education certificate examination. Ernestine Numanyo is the headmistress of Hachukofe Basic School.
Weaknesses of the school: absenteeism, lateness, truancy, lack of textbooks, low BEC pass rate. Then we have another weakness. Thank you. It was our poor learning learning environment, and some of our educational policies are not helping. Behind us is a 6-unit classroom block which is yet to be completed, and I therefore appeal for support for its completion.
Learning of the plight of the school, Dr. Kwesi Asari Bediaku, who stayed in the community when he served in the public sector for decades, decided to help the school. He constructed a 2-unit classroom block furnished with remains, detailed that the intervention was to give back to the community.
It's about 6 months ago when the staff led by Mr. Mensah approached me that they needed classrooms in school because where the children were studying there was nothing to go about. Indeed, we came to inspect, and in September we started work. Within 2 months, we were able to complete. We furnished them with 50 single tables and chairs. Each classroom, making a total of 100. We provided ceiling fans to improve of ventilation in the classroom in the midst of COVID epidemic. Indeed, not much, but we are praying, also praying for the schools.
The paramount chief of the Aplao traditional area, Togbi Amenyafiti the eulogized the initiative by Dr. Asari Bediaku. Dr. Asari Bediaku was installed development chief for the Hachiko community under the stool name Togbi Agbeshi the First.
And that's it for the AM News. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Mapito Sibidi. The AM Show continues with Benjamin.
You'll be detained for this. Attempted to knock a police inspector down.
Attempted to do what?
You wait.
You.
And you are saying I should know the car before you refuse to. I'm stupid.
Yeah.
Good. I will not insult you. I'm a professional police officer. I will not insult you. But we will teach you a lesson.
You don't know whom you are dealing with. You can't beg him tomorrow. You
insult me whatever you can.
I'll send you 20.
It's a place. Police are working there.
Yeah.
Transfer is not punishment in police.
Okay.
Transfer is not punishment in police.
Don't worry.
Yes.
Don't worry.
Transfer is not punishment. It's attention.
No.
Yeah, human being and human being are staying attention. Same human being who voted for you. Same human being who voted for you. They are working there.
You are lucky I'm not in my
in your hut.
No, it's up there.
You are not in your hut.
All right.
You don't know the person you are talking.
Don't mind him.
And Honorable is telling police cookies. Just this morning, a colleague of ours was knocked down. You heard the news. And you didn't follow the queue. My brother, why didn't you follow the queue? And he wanted to knock me down.
But don't you know?
He wanted to knock me down. I should get out. That's stupid.
No.
I should know him before I put him in order. My brother, why didn't you follow the queue? And don't you know this car? And I said, oh, I should know this car before you knock me down. Just this morning, a colleague of us was knocked down. Just this morning.
The checkpoint was
the same mistake. Just follow the queue. You are not in a convoy. You are not in a convoy. Just follow the queue.
I'm
just
not in a convoy. So if I've seen there's a space open,
yes,
and there's so much traffic, don't I have the right to?
What right do you have? You don't have any right. Just follow as your colleagues are following.
He cannot.
He cannot. This is security reasons. This security matters.
Not
security matters. He can never order.
He can order you because
he can never order me.
If there is much,
my regional commander can order this security apparatus.
I'm not saying he's order you. You can talk to your boss.
Look here.
He can talk to your boss. He can talk to you.
My brother, you say you will transfer me to NJ.
No, I'm talking to
you. Situation.
I will.
And don't think transfer is a punishment. Yes.
Don't worry.
Wherever there is a police station, when you are being sent there, it's not a punishment. Transfer is not a punishment. Let me tell you. There are people over there working, and there are human beings staying wherever you want to transfer me. And you are not a police officer to transfer me. You are not a police officer to transfer me. Yeah, you can snap me. I'm a nice and handsome guy. I'm a very nice handsome officer. You can snap me. Ugly guy. Hey, Honorable. Be careful of your choice of words.
You are
Yes,
And I say you are ugly.
You can snap again. You can snap again. I'm ugly.
Yes.
You can insult me whatever you can. You can insult. You can insult and insult.
I say you are.
I'm a professional police officer. I will never insult you. Yes.
And I say you are ugly.
Don't worry.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the MC for Takrady in full glare of everyone. What he didn't know was that he was being recorded. Yes, it is the news review, but we're taking a different approach to it this morning. Sometimes I ask myself about the sheer arrogance of people in power. NDC, MPP. We've seen it all from them in the Fourth Republic. But I ask myself, what gives these people the temerity? We give them the power. The power is ours, and we give it to them. The police officer, he uses power because it is our power we vested in him, and so we give him the respect. And it is the same with the MCE, who is representative of Mr. President in a certain municipality. Now, this MCE says what? Someone is ugly? Oh, he's a fine gentleman, isn't he? He says he will transfer the guy to Enchi because guess what? He is in charge of MUSEC, the Municipal Security Council. He says he'll transfer the gentleman. I love the answer from the police officer when he said, you can even transfer me to Pualugu. There are people there. There are police officers there too. There are people there who need us. How does this happen? I mean, by any stretch of the imagination. And imagine an MCE saying, I would beat you to death. I would beat you to death. How does that, it boggles your mind, doesn't it? How does that happen? And for those other officers who came and were accusing their colleague officer of supposedly being intoxicated, you see, that's the problem in this country. Because when something wrong is done, depending on who is involved, you would want to go like, oh, and why are you doing this? Let it be. It happens, Mr. MCE. And you have the effrontery to tell the person he is ugly. You will transfer him to Enchi. Go ahead. Now you're in the grips of the police. Go ahead and transfer him. Go ahead. You see what power does? It's like Lord Acton's aphorism. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. We get into it. But I just couldn't hold myself this morning because I just felt, where are we headed? I mean, if our politicians from either side, I don't care, NDC, MPP, if we allow them to do things like that, and he is a politician, he is the appointee of Mr. President in that municipality. I'll just leave you with this as my colleague. Cedric Hardwick, Ralph Richardson, and Lawrence Olivier were once riding together. When their car was stopped because of a traffic offense, Richardson said, I am Sir Ralph Richardson. Seated next to me is Sir Cedric Hardwick, and behind me is Sir Lawrence Olivier. The policeman replied, I don't care if it's the whole of security analyst joins the conversation. Adib, good morning.
Good morning, Ben.
It's a pleasure having you. I am expressing my effusions of maybe not emotion, but dissatisfaction with the way sometimes our politicians react. But for you, what is your reaction to this development?
Well, I was in my office yesterday and I got the audio from a colleague online to get to know more about him because his demeanor, his posture, his opinions, even about the police, mannerism, is so inconsistent with the kind of responsibility that has been put on this gentleman. And you know, Ben, almost every big car flouted traffic regulations. I couldn't find a single so-called big car in traffic. Look, I got stuck in that traffic for close to 4 hours, and I used a similar vehicle. Guess what, Ben? I had a taxi driver approach. I've never seen this before. You know, that vehicle in traffic. So that should tell you something about our society. We have legitimized wrongdoing to the extent that it is abnormal to do the right thing. And I think this also gives me the opportunity to get Ghanaians to understand that you are not supposed to fear a politician. Politicians are watching this program on TV, on social media. Don't fear politicians. Politicians should fear you. They are supposed to serve us. It irks me when I see people almost wanting to lie down when they see honorable for him to step on them. Not too long ago, to speak with the president. So I was like, Mr. President, I don't like this idea of you wanting to take our guns from us. As he was speaking, the president wanted to interject. He was like, wait, I'm still talking. You are supposed to serve me. You know, like the guy was so bold and daring. And we don't see that here in Ghana. We are so timid. And I mean, not even be bolder than us. When you go to the airport, things are not done right. You see Nigerians stepping up and go like, no, this should not be done, you know, this way. As a result, we are giving these politicians a fool's day.
So Adib, we definitely are the ones with power. He did. The police has accosted him, yes. We heard reports at some point that he had been released, but the police report said that he had been arrested. What do you think should happen to someone who acts in the way this representative of the president in Takoradi acted? What do you think should happen to him?
Or Adib Sani. The fact that you are the chairman of the Municipal Security Council doesn't give you the temerity to behave in the manner he did. As a matter of fact, Ben, it is rather when you find yourself in that position that would make you say, I don't want my reputation to be dragged into the mud. So as much as I can, if perhaps I was not known, I would have done it. But rather, when you are known and you are in a position of responsibility, that should push you to doing the right thing. So he must be punished to serve as a deterrent to other public office holders who think they are beyond reproach. And the fact that they can do just anything and get away with it, because that has been the culture. They do the wrong thing, they are caught, they make a call, and the commander goes like, okay, look, this is a big man, let him. They have all sorts of illegal stroops and the alarms, and they cause a lot of havoc on these roads.
Right.
Why should this be allowed to perpetuate?
Adib, hold your horses. We have Adam Bona, Dr. Adam Bona, also joining the conversation. Dr. Bona, very good morning to you. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, good morning to you, Ben, and then good morning to my colleague, Sulley.
Right. I would have you share your initial thoughts on this, but also focus on this for me. The wrong thing is done, and then a call is placed to whichever police officer or person in power, and then the wrong is overlooked. What is your reaction?
Well, yes. Okay, so the Dorcas, from my review of the tape, is, the officer who was the tip of the action is an inspector. And I think on the chief inspector actually was probably initially I attempted to engage the MCE, but from the look of things, the MCE, because of bad mannerism and bad attitude, decided not to. So he attempted to engage Dorcas at the wrong time, and so an inspector. But as far as I'm concerned, you see, our 1992 Constitution, some of us have called for it to be amended. Because when you have such persons with shady characters, becoming MCs and by extension, chairing the district or the municipal security councils, then you know that we are in for a rough ride. You remember 2020 or so, or 2021 thereabout, 2020, one of them, a DC or MCE in the central region, went, was so daring, drove he and his tax to a police station in the central region to assault a counter NCO at a police station, released a case. We spoke about it. Eventually, we were told he was arrested or he was going to be prosecuted. The police officer who was involved, who was beaten, got transferred, and it became something very murky. But it is the Constitution. I blame this on the Constitution because then you heard him saying that he would transfer the police officer. Why can a civilian say, I will transfer you? Yeah, but the Constitution provides that you are the municipal chief, the minister of a police officer or the police who are out there doing their work, and threatening them with transfers and literally denigrating and insulting them. So as far as I'm concerned, this will not stop. So long as
you say it will not stop.
No, it will not stop. It will not stop because if you know the way and manner some of these MCs became MCs and DCs, most of not very educated, and so they've never been in any leadership position before, have never done anything in their lives. And so if you put such persons to be representative of the president or the vice president.
Moving forward, Adam Bona is saying that this is not going to stop. What would you both, as we wrap the conversation with you and come back in the studio, what would you both like to see in respect of how this case is handled? Of course, it will set an example for other cases that would arise. I mean, if you listen to the MCE, it was clear he felt he was above the law. Not even the president is above the law country. So what do you want to see happen in this particular regard?
Well, I couldn't have agreed with my senior colleague more with respect to the issues of constitution and all that. I remember I was one of the communications persons on the constitutional review. Very difficult for a coup to happen in Ghana. As a result, some powers were vested in civilians. That is why before a state of emergency is imposed, it has to be recommended by the security services, it has to be initiated by the executive, then it goes through parliament before it is actualized. So we don't have so much power concentrated in the hands of the military and the police that would make governments vulnerable or susceptible. Egypt, they suffer these occurrences very often. But that notwithstanding, I think that the powers have largely been abused, and I don't know what background checks is done on these persons before they are appointed DCs or MCs, because these are security pairs who would have access to classified national security information. Is it by virtue of the fact that they are party foot soldiers? That's all. No due diligence is conducted. So I think that in as much as we should be looking at the constitutional clauses and all that, we should also ensure some level of accountability, behavior, oblivion of your standing in society. The laws would have to catch up with you, especially to serve as a deterrent to others.
Okay, gentlemen, I did say to wrap, but there's one thing that skipped my mind. In a minute each, I just want us to do this. The ECOWAS situation is still brewing. The Burkina Faso saga is still ongoing. Quoting Mr. President here, he says, this evolution in our region, and he goes on and on. You, Adib, have been reacting to some of what Mr. President said. The sanctions and developments so far, do you think it will bring about any change? That question to both of you in a minute, and it's a wrap. Adib, I'll start with you.
Sanctions doesn't affect the coup leaders, okay? Myriad of security challenges. So when you sanction, it makes it very more complex for them to be able to counter the threat. And this could pose a direct existential threat to the whole sub-region. So I think that ECOWAS should explore more on diplomacy, even if it has to be by rough tactics. So we get them to put together a civilian transitional team within the shortest possible time. An election would be held then on its coup response approach.
Okay.
As it doesn't really seek to help much.
All right. For you, Doc, your wrap-up comments.
Well, my wrap-up comments on the MCE, I think that it will be good for the president to relieve him of his position while the courts, probably sending him to jail. Then for ECOWAS, I mean, I have maintained that ECOWAS has largely lost its credibility. You notice that anytime they meet for, a summit like this, when was the last time ECOWAS saw the need to have engage in CSOs? The leaders don't seem to understand what is going on, because then you see they retreat back into their various countries and they go to the presidential palaces and they are shepherded and, you know, drive through traffic like the MCE wanted to do. So, no, as far as I am concerned, people are feeling the hardship all over ECOWAS. But do the leaders understand what the challenges are? So as far as I'm concerned, sanctions and more sanctions can only seek to punish and make things more difficult for the already impoverished ECOWAS citizen. And therefore, when there is a coup in any of these countries, when let the blood flow, let the blood flow. As far as I'm concerned, they are really not speaking to the citizens of ECOWAS. And until they, the leaders, begin to speak directly to the citizens of ECOWAS, who has come to stay in ECOWAS, and they cannot do anything because...
And thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. Dr. Adam Bona, together with Adib Sani, security analyst, and we wish you the best of the day. Let's quickly come into the studio now, and I know you'd like to have a quick bite, maybe in some 30 seconds, 1 minute, on the MC situation. Then we dig into the papers.
Of course. I think that's a lot of, you know, MCs, politicians really are under this misguided impression that they are there to learn that perhaps we are. And
honorable, and they go about acting dishonorably.
You see, and that is why I'm saying that it's under the misguided impression that they're actually there to lord over us, because you see them and call them honorable. They are only exercising a fiduciary duty, you know, in your stead. You have employed and assigned specific duties for them to undertake on your behalf.
So imagine
you can hire and fire them at
your
any time.
employee.
Exactly.
Not only disrespecting you, telling you are ugly, telling you I'll transfer you.
Exactly.
All sorts of things.
Exactly. And that's exactly the picture that we are seeing. And you see, this is not simply.
Oh yeah, that situation.
Says that one, I'm on a national assignment, national duty. I have to go, and he wants to break traffic regulations and so on and so forth.
In fact, only last week, and I can't mention the person's name because this was a secret camera someone used to catch a big man on the Spintex road, and I can't, of course, going past the other vehicles, and they know there are cameras in certain places, so when they get there, then they try to abide. But the stretches they know there are no cameras on. Freebonto,
and this is terrible. In other jurisdictions, the gentleman would have been interdicted already, pending, you know, the completion of the. Heard Adam Bona, you know, make reference to this particular case, where the police officer who was actually assaulted ended up getting transferred, and
I think we'll keep our eyes on that. If this police officer gets transferred, then we'll know that something.
And I was just going to say that, man, don't be shocked that the police officer will be at his maybe even worse for him because of quote and unquote the disgrace that he has brought on this darling boy of government. Because of course, there's no better way of describing him. He's a darling boy of government. In fact, he's a representative of the president in the municipality. And so, I mean, this is a real, you know, challenge to the president, to the vice president, to people who,
you know, driving recklessly or something. I'll say, hey, do you know who I am? Don't you see me on TV every morning? I'm a broadcaster.
I think that is what these politicians are pushing us into doing. I'm a journalist. And so what? And
that's the question. And so, Daily Graphic, let's quickly do this, and in the next 8 minutes or so, we'll wrap it up. UTAG government to restart negotiations. I said this one, I agree. Out of court settlement called for. Assin North MP charged with perjury and forgery. I've listened to both sides. The minority itself has had a release. Haruna Idrisu, as of course, it still is in the appellate court.
Of course, and the politics of this is what interests me. So you have the majority side saying that, you know what, we are going to make sure that he doesn't come to Parliament to prosecute any parliamentary business. And the minority saying, you try it, let's see things. The battle lines have been drawn, and everyone has drawn his or a dagger, and so we are waiting.
No, this one, it is clear. We can foresee another. We can smell another fight.
And that is what I That's what I always make of this simmering, tensions. That is just waiting to explode on the floor of Parliament. I think that, with the greatest of respect, if there is leadership in Parliament, this is a time where you call both sides of the House, get a compromising position. Let's get to a consensus and decide on how to proceed before we go back into the chamber. Have another dishonorable.
You know what? You're going on and on, but I don't think that is going to happen. You know why? Because the very leadership of Parliament, from the majority leader to the fault it is, or where to lay the blame, if I can even lay the blame, but they don't see eye to eye. They don't appear to want to arrive at that consensus or cede a little so that that can be achieved. So we'll leave them to do their thing. It appears everywhere. It's either fighting or
it's only a problem because they are not.
That's according to Akufo-Addo. NACOC destroys 80-acre wheat plantation. That's on page 20, and this was in Liati Dafonu in the Afajato South District in the Volta region. It took a team of about 70 officers of NACOC, the Ghana Immigration Service, the National Investigations Bureau, and the Hohoi Divisional Police. Charlie? On the back page, family connections at AFCON pictured there, and Andre Dede Ayew and Jordan Ayew. And it's heartbreak for Cameroon as they lost out big time yesterday. Okay. So let's get into the other papers. Maybe you can do two before I come back in.
Daily Guide is leading with who's fight over Tamils. Top kings can't protect Bortiman lands. And that story is on page 12. Take firm decision on coups. This is from the ECOWAS Commission. Now, when you go to the Ghanaian Times newspaper, the banner headline here says military takeover in sub-region, West Africa in danger. That's according to ECOWAS Chairman President Akufo-Addo. I think that's not lost on us. We know ECOWAS, West Africa is in danger. We need action to, follow that.
We don't have the systems that can bring about any action. That's the whole point. The African Union has been described as a toothless bulldog, and ECOWAS itself is with some. So
of the African Union,
we don't even know what that can do.
But we've seen, the deployment of additional troops at the borders, at least to the north, to Burkina Faso. We've seen a deployment of additional troops there to sort of, fancy order to settle impasse out of court. And that story is on page 3. Today ends the, at least for the University of Ghana, University of Cape Coast, and a couple of other universities, University of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology also. Today ends the third straight week of no academic activity, on their campuses. And for instance, in the University of Cape Coast statute, its specific council has a duty of shutting down the school. So if that issue is not sorted out, we may just be seeing a potential shutdown of the universities. Quick touch up on this one. No new sanctions on Burkina Faso as Akufo-Addo urges colleague ECOWAS heads to take security seriously. And that's a Daily Statesman. 7-member Apiate Reconstruction Committee inaugurated.
Right.
And government increases disability grant by 200%. So that's what we have on a Daily State.
The court, February 10, but it would be past the 21-day thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that is going to pan out. The BNFT, more than 60% of fertilizer suppliers for PFJ remain unsettled in Tia Omoka. And fresh troubles for evicted NDC. Evicted in quote, NDC MP and minority weeps. GRA set to implement e-levy. Of course, we've seen that statement as well from them. Reverend Amisha Dai saying that we're ready. We've put ourselves in pole position so that, and like I said, we're ready to go. Manuel, put it there. Thanks for joining.
Absolutely.
So that's how we...
Now, let's talk about Sulley Muntari, who has completed a move to Accra House of Oak, the former Champions League winner, completed the deal last week, and he's been speaking to the House of Oak media. He's available to make his debut this weekend at Accra Great Olympics at the Accra Sports Stadium. We hear from Sulley Muntari.
I just had two training or 3 training sessions with them. It's good. I grew up in Ashanti, but then I came to Accra for football, and of course every young kid years ago grew up to see House of Oak play great football, and it's a top team, one of biggest in Africa. So
decision in choosing Hearts.
My son.
Your son?
Yeah. Not decision to play now, it's my son, but decision to play for House of Oak, it was easy. I lived here in Accra also. Before even when I come down for holidays, I train with House of Oak. I met Dr. Temaklo, the president himself, Afede. I met them, and yeah, so I've been watching House for a long time, and I know a little bit about the team. So it wasn't a hard decision to make, but the push was my son who asked me to come to, since the friendship with House was there long before, so it was very easy for me to choose.
You're talking about training. You've had the opportunity to train with a team for some weeks now. What do you see with the guys you train with? What is the determination?
It's a good team, very young team, a young technical team. So there's ambition there, and of course me deciding to join the Premiership, also to be able to help this young one, guide them in the right path. But the coach is there also, but then guide them the right path. Not only the league, and it's going to benefit the country. So that's some of the reasons too.
Sulley Muntari there, but what are Ghanaians' reaction about his big move community when he engaged them?
Yes, Sulley Muntari's return will bring back the love of the game. You know, lots of people are not going to the stadium, but his return is going to bring back the love of the game, and his return will also teach the midfielders a lot of strategies and tactical skills for the play the shot. The guy has a lot of shots in his legs, and the keepers are going to suffer this time. So his return is very, very good.
He's always come back home, right? He's very always come back home. So it's very good for him to come back home, and I love that. If all the other old players can come back home, so that to make our league a little bit attractive to other countries, that'll be fine. So that's the problem we have in Africa, right? Especially for our teams, you know. Sulley Muntari cannot play that ball. They are 11 on the field, right? So all of them have to come together and have like something great.
They bring back the love, not just about these players coming back, okay? It's also about putting structures in place and then getting the right things done, okay? But to some extent, fine, it might boost that campaign. It might boost it. But how much?
And talking about bringing back the love, the Ghana Football Association have been in the market in the last couple of days seeking the services of a group stage with only 1 point when they were housed in the group with Morocco, Gabon and Comoros. Well, Communications Director of the Ghana Football Association, Harry Asante, has been explaining the position of the football governing body. According to him, they need the services of someone who understands the dressing room and knows the players in and out.
This is our position. We feel in the interim we need someone. Then we look for a long-term plan.
Okay, it's your to the no.
It is to engage the club first of all.
Okay.
Send my access to get to talk to the man.
Okay.
You say club then you come back and speak to the ministry.
Okay.
You cannot go to the ministry and say Anna Kofana Bano is under contract.
Okay. But yes, we take his decision to go to Germany. No.
Yeah.
When you form minister answer Keteko.
Could you?
Is the minister aware? Say.
Could you?
Germany.
There are processes.
Okay.
Just as a committee was put in place to look for a coach to replace Ike Akono.
Okay.
It's the same process and I go through. Now, until you have a confirmation sort of, you can't go to the ministry because to me in ministry in France only go with the ministry with a substantive information.
Okay.
In your hand, say ministry steps I take in mako me engage ni pano or say obeba.
Okay.
Nemo oba ne times in here.
Okay.
In there was a trans in the unkomo. Is when you engage the ministry. Okay. But also I can come ministry or ministry because you must engage the ministry. It doesn't happen that way.
However, before the GFA went to Germany, the ministry were marching the noon. They were going to engage Borussia Dortmund for the services of Otto Addo. The president of the Ghana FA, Keto Kreko, was expected to return to the country today. He will, however, do so on Monday. Joy Sports understands he has spoken to Chris Hilton on phone, and they are expected to continue the conversations somewhere next week, as the GFA president has spoken to Chris Hilton, and there will be a finality. Chris Hilton might not leave Ghana on Sunday. He might stay to conclude a deal with the Ghana Football Association. We'll share details with you in our subsequent bulletins. I am Muftar Nabila Ablai. This has been AM Sports.
Well, here we are. Welcome back as we delve into our big stories for the day. So we know about the Jechikwason situation, the Member of Parliament for Assin North, and it is still developing. We have the civil issue, we have the criminal issue as well. But now he's been charged with deceit of a public officer, forgery, and other offenses. Is it as political as some people are making it out to be? The minority caucus in Parliament has expressed its view. It says this is a mere witch hunt, so to speak, my words, and they are suggesting that this is just to oust the MP to boost the numbers of the majority caucus in Parliament so they can have their way on the e-levy. That, you know, the forgery actually took place and all of that. Was he still a citizen of Canada when he said he was not a citizen of Canada and did not owe allegiance to that country? We get into the details now with our guests who join us for this conversation. We'll be joined shortly by lawyer Martin Kpebu, who joins the conversation. Morning to you. Do we have Dr. Rashid Draman on the line? Dr. Draman, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning.
Right, thank you for joining the conversation. Dr. Draman is Executive Director, Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs.
Good morning.
Mr. Kpebu, are you on with us now?
Yes, I am.
Great. What do you make of this development? So, some 2 years ago, we had our elections, or less than 2 years, I should say. Over a year ago, we had our latest elections in 2020. And here we are with this issue of the Assin North constituency. It's serving the Member of Parliament with the court summons is becoming a problem. But globally, what do you make of it, even before we get into the charges that have been leveled against him?
Yes, so I find it very troubling. It's very disturbing in terms of the timing. The timing is horribly clear that at this point in time, there is the tussle over the e-levy in Parliament. So you don't expect such machinations at this time. So the timing is horribly bad, horrible. It sets our democracy back.
Lawyer Kwebu, you say the timing is horribly bad, and you use the word machinations and all of that, but should it matter? I mean,
oh, it definitely does. You ask every lawyer, there's what we call jurisprudence. That's legal philosophy. That is when these things are taken into consideration. So if you want the betterment of the body politic, this is not the time to commence prosecution. No, go deal with the E-levy. After that, when the society has quietened down, then you can look at this.
To achieve executive ends.
That jurisprudentially is bad. So we look at, let's use, yes, so let's say if we are doing the utilitarian principles, the philosophy, the greatest happiness of the greatest majority. So you know that it's common knowledge that most Ghanaians are against the E-levy. So where you seek to, then straight away, it's normal for citizens to think that this is just meant to tip the balance of power in favor of the majority.
Is that what you think? From where you sit, is that what you genuinely think? That, did you say without a doubt? Could you repeat that?
Yes, I said that's what I think, without a doubt. That's it. That's it. If it happens to be coincidence, too bad. But the timing is horribly bad. As I said, it sets our democracy back a few notches.
Looking at the charges, that have been leveled against him: forgery, deceit of a public officer. In fact, five counts of deceit of a public officer, forgery of passport or travel certificate, knowingly making a false statutory declaration, perjury, and false declaration for office. If you follow the trajectory, the story is Jachikwa, but with these things that he has been done, or he has done, what do you make of it? Is it the right process being followed as far as Jachikwa is concerned?
As a practicing.
Hello,
okay,
Lawyer
so
Kwebu. If you could start again, the connection is breaking.
Practically, usually, would like to take it one day at a time. So they do one before they go to the other. Because, there's that sense that let's just give the person a good opportunity to defend himself. So ordinarily, you expect that they will finish the civil case before they come to the criminal case.
We appear to have
both at the same time, but we are looking at the practical situation. Practically, you do one before the other, so that the person can concentrate fully on one at the same. And saddled with one, he sends all his mind, attention, and they can come to the criminal case. You remember Adamu Sakandi? Remember the Adamu Sakandi case? Yes. You see, so it helps to do one at a time.
Right. Just hold for me right there. Let me also bring in what you're saying, that this is political. It is very political. The timing is off. Do you agree with him?
Perhaps my take on this is to look at this more from, came to light on the morning of January 7. Today we are January 7, 2021. Today we are February 2022. Why is it the Parliament, where the balance of power is very tight, a matter of this nature could not have been resolved a very long time ago? In some countries are dealt with immediately, because they have the tendency to tilt the balance. They have the tendency to famous for what we used to know in the
well, the connection being a bit tricky there. We'll try to reconnect with Dr. Draman. Martin, I used to add maybe the sides in court ought to be looking at. When Jachikwa is served, for example, what happens next, legally speaking? What should be happening? Take us through the legal protocols.
On the date indicated in the hearing notice, and on that date, if everything goes according to plan, the first thing is to take his plea, the charges will be read. So the guilty or not guilty is step 2. The charges being read is step 1. Then you go to step 3, which is the application for bail. So his lawyers will apply for bail. I mean, being a member of parliament, he's a big opinion leader. So he's not licensed being a member of parliament. Such applications are granted. Then they would now come to the next step, which is that the prosecution has to serve him with all the documents they intend to rely on. All the documents, so we call it disclosures. Then they will say, okay, so serve him before 10th of March. And that they should come back to court 10th of March for what we call CMC, Case Management Conference. So at that next sitting, they will go through all the documents to see if what was served on Mr. Quayson and his lawyers. So this intend to speak Fanti, so that we'll prepare and get a Fanti interpreter and all those other things. Okay, being a member of parliament, do you need some specific times? Maybe when will parliament sit? That's if the judge chooses to accommodate him and help our democracy. Yes, so they will do all that.
We're losing you, Mr. Kwebu. We're losing you.
If everything goes according to plan, the trial fact.
Could you just make that last point again? Mr. Kwebu, are you with us? Let me quickly see. I mean, maybe even before you share your thoughts about moving forward. So this is quite a development from your study of parliamentary affairs and all of that. The NDC says he still is a member of parliament, a member of the House, minority leader. The majority side, I've listened to Atacha and others, say that he no longer is a member of parliament, and if he dares to get into the House of Parliament to partake in that vote, I mean, they are not going to allow him to do so.
To end in a fight.
Right.
I think it's as simple as that. Now the stakes are even higher than what we've been witnessing in the last few months, and quite disturbingly so, because timing of it. I look at it from the perspective of efforts being made to try and bridge the gap between the two sides, to try and begin to build the much needed consensus. 3 years in a way to get them to work together, because at the end of the day, it's the business of our country. And if they don't work together, it's our country that suffers. I mean, let's not kid about this. And so, if you look at the timing, yes, for me, from the perspective of unity, from the perspective of getting parliamentary business and so on, that is quite
foul play. Then,
well, I mean, as I was saying earlier before my line dropped, for me, knowing this and knowing the stakes are quite high, I would this might be coincidence, but as I was saying earlier, you can't fault those who say there is some foul play. The national actor will try to do everything that they can to make sure that they win the game. And we are dealing with, a situation of no win-win, and we lose.
Right.
And I mean that is quite sad for our democracy. I mean, we have gotten to this point.
Right. You say you foresee another scuffle, another fight in Parliament, but hold on for me, Kwebu, can you hear me? Okay, so Mr. Kwebu, this is what I want to find out. On July the 28th, 2021, the High Court now and the Appellate Court even pushing for the Supreme Court as well. But the mere fact that an appeal has been made in court, does it mean he still is substantively a member of Parliament? Does that not mean he is no longer a member of Parliament? Is that not the basic understanding? We will try to, right. Did you get the question, Mr. Kwebu? All right. So when you can interact with us, when you can get to us, just let me know whether you got the question or if you want me to, or whether you want me to repeat it, and I'll do that. We'll get back to Mr. Kwebu as and when he can address the question I posed. I mean, from the legal aspect, we'd like to find out what that means. Is he still a member of parliament? If not, should we even be here having this conversation? So, Dr. Draman, here we are, murky with the law. You're not a lawyer, so to speak, but when you look at the fact that now the summons are supposed to be served, not through the circuit of parliament where the speaker would have to do this, but on his person, and it's getting very personal with regard to Jachikwe.
I mean, you know, I think last year the Right Honourable Speaker had a conversation with the Chief Justice on matters such as this one, and I think immunity and the processes to serve members of Parliament and so on. And we have had this discussion before, particularly when it came to the issue of the honourable member for Medina. What is clear now is that it looks like those issues have not been clearly sorted out. Legal proceedings against members of Parliament, and that just adds to the mix of confusion and challenges that we currently have.
What do you think we should do in that respect? Should we go to court for clarity?
Well, this is becoming for clarity and so on and so forth, and then that doesn't, give very quick resolution to the matter, and it keeps dragging and dragging and dragging. I think, to be honest with you,
put it in there, understandable at this time of morning. Dr. Draman, are you still with us? You were making a point. Hello, Dr. Draman.
Yes, I was making a point.
Right.
Yes, I was making a point. I was saying that my kids are disturbing here. Just give me 1 minute. Yeah. Right. So I've even lost my train of thought. What was your question? Sorry.
So I was asking about the situation, and you were talking about the executive and its relationship with the legislature. And
was that, unfortunately, right now the Right Honourable Speaker is not here to perhaps be able to intervene in terms of trying to seek some resolution, particularly between Parliament and the judiciary. I want to make sure that they have the numbers in order to get this e-levy matter put to rest once and for all. So really, I foresee a lot of difficult times for this 8th Parliament. That if we have to get this e-levy resolved peacefully and quietly, then perhaps we have to work around the schedule of the Right Honourable Speaker. When the Right Honourable Speaker, majority will get his way, because if they marshal all their numbers, they will have 138, and the NDC will have 137, and the matter is solved. However, the Right Honourable Speaker is out of the jurisdiction. We don't know when he's coming back. And my question, consideration of the e-levy can wait until the Right Honourable Speaker returns or not. I guess perhaps it couldn't. And that's why we are seeing all these moves. Maybe they are politically motivated, no. But however you look at it, for me, I think the unity and the consensus that is much needed, not only at this current moment, but even going forward for the next 3 years.
Thing that lawyer Kwebu has it in for this administration. But I guess just to clarify, he's not on the line to clarify. Just to clarify for him, the point he is making is not that if the member of parliament has erred, it should not be taken on. But he's looking at the time politics is being played, and the judiciary, of course, they will look at the law, but is the timing good? Because then it creates a certain situation that we would not like. That is basically what he would say. Some of the comments you're sending, they are not palatable, they are not in the best. If you could give counsel to the minority side and the majority side in terms of this impasse, to find some resolution to the matter without going through all the fine details or fighting for this.
Well, if I could advise them, what I would tell them is, at the end of the day, they cannot run away from sitting and working together. So whatever they to counting the numbers, I think that is what is going to help them navigate this challenge. Because look, but I mean, as they say, whatever happens in the house is a closed book. Whatever happens, I mean, they are masters of their own rules. So unless somebody rises on a point of order to say, right honorable speaker, there's no quorum and so on and so on. If there is really honesty on both sides to sit together and dialogue, it looks as if that dialogue is not happening at all. A kind of lose-lose situation. I would rather prefer a win-win, and rather than zero-sum, I'll prefer a win-win. I mean, when matters get heated like this, I mean, recently in the US, President Biden had to invite a senator from his own side who disagreed. Let's see what I can give in and what he can also give in. In the end, he didn't get all that he wanted, I mean, as president. But at least he got something. It's better than getting other matters that will be coming before Parliament in the future. We don't know. Both sides, seems to have dug in so much that it looks like they are finding it difficult. And so the more talk, the more dialogue, particularly between the two leaders, and then between them and the Right Honorable Speaker. And then also, I think at this moment, in terms of everything that they say, because, citizens read headlines, and sometimes people don't have time to go into the fine details, and members of their caucuses hurt the process of trying to build consensus and compromise. And I think at this time, everybody must be, very, very cautious because of the times in which we live and because of what is happening in our neighborhood. I think we need to get our politics right. We need to show leadership, and they can work together and think about the interests of our country, rather than maybe the perception that each side is now perceiving party position and party interest.
Right. To wrap the conversation with you, it would have been interesting. We'll get to Lawyer Kpebu shortly to give us the legal dynamics. But I just wanted to run by you as well this issue, especially as you're talking about leadership. It has to do, I'm sure you've heard of the Takrady MP, MCE, right? That he would, transfer him and all of that. Since we're talking leadership here, how does that strike you, and what would you like to see in respect of that?
The mark of leadership, they say, is that sometimes you don't show a difference when you are happy and when you are not happy. And the mark of leadership is for somebody of the people that work for him or her, and sensitive to their situation. I mean, you can disagree. You can, not utter those words. Things like ugly and so on. I think that was descending to very personal levels, and that is not a good mark of leadership.
What should happen in an instance like this? From where you sit?
Well, we live in a country in responsibility, and accepting that they are wrong and they need to step aside. In many countries, somebody like this would have attended this, maybe the appointing authority would fire him. But, we live in a country where, in the last 30 or so years that we've been at this practice of our democracy, what's going to happen? But I think perhaps given the dishonor that he has brought to himself and his office, perhaps maybe the right thing for him to do is perhaps to step aside and say, I'm not fit to lead the people of
Takrady. Dr. Draman, we are grateful that you've joined us. A big thank you as well to Martin Pebu, lawyer, who shared his thoughts. We'll give you ample time to react, not just to this issue, but also to the next issue we're about to discourse on our big stories for today. Remember, the hashtag is AMShow. AMShow. That's the hashtag. But up next, we're going to get into another aspect of our big stories, and it has to do with the UTAG conversation. We shall be getting into that one shortly. And this is the picture. So the judge in question who oversaw this case has directed that government and UTAG ought to find a solution to this, an out-of-court solution, to report at the National Labour Commission, that is next Monday, to find solutions to this strike that has crippled our tertiary institutions. How exactly is this going to pan out? What is going to be the resolution? And critically, are students and parents going to get any reprieve, any relief, so that the students can get the academic work that they need done to actually be done? That is our next conversation. We'll be right back. UTAG, USAG, NUGS, and of course the National Labour Commission. How are things going to pan out? Well, let's start the conversation with Dr. Samuel Bert Bwedikusi, UTAG president. If you could unmute for us, Doc.
Yes, sorry about that. So good morning, and thanks for having me, my brother.
Right. We're starting with you, and the latest is that you've been directed to the National Labour Commission to judge with government. As leader of UTAG at UCC, have you cited this invitation to judge with government on the 7th?
Thank you very much, my brother. Let me say that, yes, yesterday we were in court, and by extension, for me, what I say is by extension, it's CEO, that you have to go and do the job you have to do. You have been paid to do. You have been paid to be an arbiter, an impartial judge. You cannot just jump to the fact that go and do the job you have been paid to do. And so I think that it's an opportunity. The learned judge in his wisdom has given us an opportunity to sit and judge. Yes, you spoke about the invitation. I cited it in the social media opportunity because all of us were in court yesterday. And when the learned judge gave that directive, one would have thought that immediately after that, we would have said, oh, guys, come together, let's see how best, when are we meeting and all that. But only for us to see that in the social media. And I felt that that was also a missed opportunity because it's a simple, touch at the, on the shoulder to say, look, we have come this far, let's sit down and do what we need to do. Helps in resolving matters. So yes, we have cited it.
Going to comply with the directive come February the 7th. Are we going to see your representatives there at the National Labour Commission to bring some finality to this?
Yes, my brother. You see, we are of the view that we can, whatever form of litigation, litigation must come to an end at some point, and we cannot go on like that, the other side, and not go in the hardliner kind of approach that we have seen some of the communicators try to do. And so I know that the National Executive Committee will be having a meeting today to discuss both what the learned judge has said, as well as the invitation from the
NUGS president joining the conversation, Mr. Boakye-Yadom, Emmanuel Boakye-Yadom. Thank you, Emmanuel, for joining the conversation.
You're welcome, sir.
Right. We've heard from you on a few occasions with what has happened so far. And what are your expectations as now the court has told both parties, government on one end, UTAG on the other, to find a solution to this problem?
Good morning to you, and then good morning to your viewers, especially when we wake up to hear our lecturers are back to the lecture rooms for teaching and learning to continue. So however way that they do it, that is with the Labour Commission, I think we as the union will be happy and will be pleased. We are not interested in who wins the case in court. Peace has prevailed, and then our lecturers are returning to the lecture rooms. So we are hoping that by the end of the week that the court has given, our lecturers they return back to their classrooms.
Now that is your expectation, but no one can guarantee that come the 7th there's going to be a resolution. Mind you, there have been meetings in the past between the employer and UTAG giving this decision that the two parties ought to judge or to find a solution. So come the 7th, if you don't get that solution, if there's no resolution, what are you going to do about this? I mean, how do you feel about that?
Okay, as we speak now, compromise, because we feel this is the time for our lecturers and then government representatives to come to a compromise, to make a lasting one, that there will be no sort of recurring strikes in the near future. But maybe nothing fruitful coming from the meetings. I think we would have no other option than to officially petition the President of the Republic, which I believe is the next in line that we think of doing. But lecturers, together with government representatives, that is the Ministry of Education, Labour and Employment, Finance, would definitely get to the negotiations table and make peace. Because going to the negotiations with an entrenched position, just as it has been over the few months, and be some sort of trust representatives, and then government representatives on the other hand to do not trust the words of UTAG. Yes, so we are calling for that mutual trust among the two parties for a peaceful resolution.
Let me bring in now the national coordinating. We've been interacting with the NUG's president, and he has shared his opinion on this entire development. Are you hopeful that now that the court has said government and the employer, government being the employer and UTAG should find a resolution, are you hopeful that come Monday that resolution will be found?
Good morning to all our viewers and everybody joining on today's show. And what we have been crying for from the initial start of this is for the lecturers to go back to the classrooms. And why do I even say this? We all admit that students have paid exorbitant fees. They've paid university students and you are reasonable enough. And probably you share in your plight that you feel the lecturers have been unfair, the government have been unfair to lecturers. Then you share in the same vein the plight of grievances. Why am I saying this? Even if the lecturers are not satisfied and they return back to the classrooms, they would want to teach our university students, well, it will fluctuate, it would reduce. And I'm happy that the court itself has given a decision that NLC should meet UTAG and resolve the matter. Why do we even resolve a fight between two bodies? Send only one body or one fraternity to the court. So I believe the court decision for NLC to meet UTAG and resolve the matter is highly accepted. Saying or nobody is pushing an agenda as though somebody wants to dent the current reputation of the government. No, nobody is fighting for that agenda. But it was a high caution to government that should we wait? You see, the big universities are being closed down, then we make a decision. No, we believe that we've gone past such analysis or such interventions. If there is anything to be done, it should be done now so that management will take it into consideration of not closing down the universities. Should we wait till the universities close down, then we send a petition to the president? I'm asking if there is a petition that needs to be sent to the republic, that's the president, who is the father of the nation. It should be sent now. Why should we wait till the later end that probably universities are at the verge of closing down? Then we send.
Right. So just to clarify, you feel, Mr. Abua, you feel, just very briefly on this, you feel it was wrong for the NLC to take UTAG to court to enforce this bit about their returning to work? You feel it was wrong? Was the NLC being biased?
NLC is an independent mediator. As I speak, if two bodies have an issue, let's go back to the constitutional mandate of the NLC. The National Labour Commission is to resolve the matter between the employee and the employer. So why only take the...
Well, you just heard the coordinating officer with USAG, and he says you're being biased, that you took UTAG to court, and it appears that you are leaning towards one end against UTAG, and even the students are not happy about that. How do you react?
Did you say he was a coordinator for UTAG?
Yes, USAG, the University Students Association of Ghana.
And he hasn't read the paper law. How is he leading a union?
Please go back to what you were saying
How
before.
can a coordinator of a union, big union like UTAG, hasn't read the Labour Act? He hasn't read the Labour laws. When the commission has heard the case, did he say here, we have heard the case, and we have given a directive that do this, and you have failed to do, when not complied with, are enforced in the court. We can come to Joy FM and enforce it. That is what the law provides. So if you say that going to court was wrong, okay, he should give us the forum for which it should be enforced. Is he on the line?
He is on the line. He has
Yes.
responded to the NLC executive secretary. He says, how would you have suggested they deal with the situation?
My stance is that if you are a referee in a matter, and for the plight of university students speaks out, that if there is a way that the NLC is, then why did the judge instructed NLC to meet UTAG outside the court and resolve their matter and return back on term? That is my big question. Why is it that the matter was contempt? If you could answer that, that's fine. Because I believe in the school of thought that the law court in their own jurisdiction, if they have standards, but why didn't they give or grant demands of NLC, but rather told NLC to go back with UTAG and resolve the matter and come back on?
Deliver the point.
Right.
We are an institution established by an Act of Parliament 651, for that matter, the laws of Ghana, to deal with cases and decisions. And we expect compliance. And the law says that if they are not complied with, we have to go to the High Court and enforce it. In the same way, if you feel that the High Court and set it aside, if you see there are procedural errors. So the courts are available to enforce and for them to also challenge our decisions. So we gave a directive that and report to us on the 16th of February. However, during the period of engagement, call off the strike. Well, that is what
call off the strike before they negotiate. I've heard from UTAG members say that. I mean, telling them to call off the strike while they negotiate, when they've had a series of negotiations, they're still striking.
Yes, and what did the court say different? The court said the same thing. Go back and engage. And within the period of engagement, take steps to withdraw the strike. Engagement is between UTAG and the government side, led by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. We, the National Labour Commission, are only regulating the law. And the law says that when you are negotiating, don't wear red armbands, don't threaten the other party, don't go on the strike. And the other party too cannot lock the other party out. And this is what we are making sure during the negotiation period. You understand? This is what we are seeking to do. And when we went to court, what did the court say? Go and engage. The engagement is not the NLC. That's them. Which of their demands is directed at NLC?
Mr.
Is it the market premium? Is it the book and research allowance? Is it their youth government? Who is their employer?
But you are the arbiter.
You them to resolve the issue.
Right.
And that is what the court said. The court did not say anything different from what the Labour Commission had directed.
Comes to the other aspects of the claims that they are making. But the lecturers aren't back at posts. How do you react to that?
Directed back at what? Compliance with the court for the engagement to begin. All the parties are coming. That is it.
No, but I'm posing the question in respect of what you spoke about. While they are negotiating,
that is what the court told them. Well, the court has said it. We said it. They defied it. This time the court has said it. If they defy it and we go back to court, they have appealed to the court for the court to enforce our decision. The court has given the directive, go and engage, as earlier said by the commission. Within the court, what is our case in court? Our case in court is call of the strike. So if they call of the strike, then our plea is that our case is moot already. But if they call of the strike, this is what the court has said. We have taken steps, then it is theirs to call of the strike. If they do, all the best. If they don't, well, it's for the court. Thursday is not far. So we have done our part, and we'll continue to do our part. And you and I. So
Dr. Bert, Mr. Abua, and others, just hold for me while I. But Mr. Asamoah, so when you look at the dynamics currently, I mean, we could have avoided this. We find ourselves where we are. But why go to court? We've been saying in August last year, you embarked on the same action, and the court told you to go out and settle your grievances. Here we are again, and you've taken UTAG back to court. And the resolution is the same.
Okay.
What exactly is not true?
They have refused. So we sought the assistance of the court, as we are enjoined by law to do. And the court has said the same. Go and
approach last August, and was the result not the same? Is that what you're saying is untrue?
No. You see, last August and now, when we went to court, you see, the issues, it's not, they don't have only one problem. The issues are not like we are sending the same thing to court over and over and over again. And even, I don't know, on the, what is pending now that they talk giving to them on the 6th. Well, that is what in their letter for which they threatened to go on strike on the 10th, was that if they don't get the labor market report, survey report, and it was given to them on the...
I don't know whether you get the point I am making. I'm not saying the same issue. I am saying that there was a similar issue you took to court, and in August last year, you were also told to go out and resolve the matter so that government, the employer, and UTAG would resolve it. That's why I'm just...
was to call off the strike. We got to court to make sure they call off the strike. And then because we thought that there was a need for further engagement, and they called off the strike. So it's not like the same result, the same thing. No. They are different issues.
Tell me, on the 7th, you are standing in the middle. Resolution to this impasse once and for all.
I am very hopeful. I'm very hopeful. You see, we are very hopeful because that is why.
Where is this hope coming from?
It is coming from something different from what we have said already. There is room for engagement. Go and engage within the period. Call off the strike. They refuse to call off the strike. Have you read? Look at our claim. Look at our rate, the endorsement. Look at our motion and the supporting affidavit. It's the same. There is room for engagement. Within the period of engagement, call off the strike. You refuse to call off the strike. We go to court to enforce what we have said. The court looks at it and say, go and engage within the period, call off the strike.
Mr. Asamoah, so UTAG is not calling off its strike. If on the 7th, between the 7th and the 10th, if you've still not been able to resolve the matter, if UTAG remains on strike, what is going to be your next?
Expecting parties to comply. UTAG failed to comply. The only thing left for the commission is to enforce its judgment. And by law, its judgment can only be enforced or to determine. The court says, I am giving you 1 week. Do A, B, C, and D. After that, report to us. So if we, at the end of the day, UTAG, NLC, all of us go to court and we present to the court that this is what we have done. And the court is the executive secretary or the commission to say, it's now in the bosom of the court. So what happens between now and 10th is between us and
between now and then, the 21-day window when the schools
there
may
is
shut
no
down
law in
would be
Ghana
affected.
or anywhere in the university statute saying that the university should be closed after 21 days if lectures are not teaching. There is no law.
21 days, the schools shut down.
Hello?
Yes.
Who said so?
Well, it's been put out by UTAG itself.
So, what are they saying? That is it part of their collective bargaining agreement or their own laws?
Hold for me, Mr. Samoa. Hold for me, Mr. Samoa. Let me bring in someone who can give an appropriate answer. Some clarity to this 21-day situation.
You see, I think that when we are not seized with the facts, we shouldn't make an emphatic statement. Yes, nobody is advocating for a closure of any of the universities. But you see, in some of our universities, it is found in hours of academic work for 21 days to call for a closure of the universities. That is not what anybody is advocating for. But when I hear people say that it is not found in any statutes, it is not true. At least I know that in the University of Cape Coast 2016 statutes, it is written there black and white as the last function of the academic board.
I just want to know the section so we can all read.
Dr. Bird, he is asking for the statute in question. Which specific statute?
So that we can all read and understand.
I can refer, but even my journal online has published that. It's there. It's my journal has published. I think I have to get the exact statute. I think it's statute 5, the function of academic board, which is I think an L. The L's function of he may not know, but it is there. But that is not my fault because. That is why I have given you the reference.
Benefit for me.
That is why I have given you the reference.
And after
it's online. The University of Cape Coast Statutes 2016 is online.
Right. So, Mr. Samoa, clarified for you?
Yeah, no, what I want to ask is, you don't create a situation. Assuming it's there, I don't even believe it because I've not seen it in the classroom when you have been directed to do so by a legally mandated body, and then you turn around and say that because I stayed out 21 days, the academic thing has been disrupted, so close the university. At the time
I have not said that, and I thought I wanted to set the record straight. I thought in my there's no law.
I'm not talking about you, but that is what everybody is saying. 21 days, close the university. As if it's automatic that it should be closed down when problems can be solved, especially when we are at the edge of solving it.
But you knew that the problem could be solved. I didn't take anyway.
Just for maybe a short while. Dr. Bert Wedikusi, you know your issues better than I do, and of course we are talking about them. You've listened to Fosu Asamoah, the Executive Secretary of the NLC. You've listened to some of the student unions, and for Mr. Fosu Asamoah, any concerns in terms of how the NLC has related to you up to this point? You could do that.
Thank you very much. Let me say that. One, and I'm happy that I am on this platform with Mr. Fosu Asamoah himself, that Mr. Fosu Asamoah's utterances, his personal utterances, I'm not faulting the commission, but his personal utterances in the media has not helped matters. The academic community takes serious exception to some of the comments he has made about this whole strike, and especially going on the tangent of if they don't. You see, you are supposed to be the spokesperson of the commission. The commissioners are not talking. And you are just as the student leader, intimated, and the judge, the venerable judge has indicated. Granted that the lecturers are completely wrong. Granted, let's put it that way, that we disagree. I feel that the NLC at least could have even gone an extra mile to say that, look, you guys, we invited you, you came, you have not gone back. What are the issues? But you see, when we constantly want to rush to the courts and try to behave as if that we own the and you see, once you begin to go that hard line, everybody takes an entrenched position because the lecturers are saying that when there's no offer on the table, they are not coming, they are not calling up the strike. Why? There is a reason. Because in August, when we signed the MOA to return to the negotiation table, the agreements were clear. We are going to negotiate on basic salary, market premium, research, and any other thing. We went back and the employer said, look, looking at the circumstance, at that point, people felt that we had been betrayed. In fact, on my campus, UCC, the general membership voted that at that time, we should not call up the strike. But when we did the total tally from all the campuses, the majority said, call up the strike. So when the strike was called off on my campus, some of us, we had a very strong backlash, because people felt that we did not heed to their call and we have history. It's just like the analogy I was thinking about, that you put your child at a height and you tell the child that jump, I'm going to catch you. and then the child jumps and you don't catch the child falls and breaks the leg. You think that the next time when you take the child to that height and you ask the child to jump, the child will jump again. The child will say, Daddy, I'm not jumping. So that is the challenge we are faced with. And when you are faced with such a challenge, I believe that we don't need to resolve this through litigation. I have strong, conviction that the frontline ministers, Minister of Education, Minister of Employment, Deputy Minister of Finance, or his boss, her boss, and the Deputy Employment, these are very fine gentlemen that I believe that if we decide to be unacknowledged, that the demand you are putting on the table, yes, we know that your salaries are dwindling, but let's go this way. We may not be able to get everything for you. Let's do it this way, put a timetable to it, a roadmap. I mean, it's about talking.
Right.
And so I want to believe that if we are very honest and transparent with our entrenched position, yes, UTAG may have taken an entrenched position based on precedent, but I want to believe that we can come out of this. And I also want to urge the government side or the employer side, not also to take an entrenched position and say that we can't do anything for you. Let's come together. Those saying that your salaries will be withdrawn, I'm saying that they will be walking a very slippery road. If you say you are going to withdraw salaries and all that, I said slippery road. If you want to go into it and how the university works, whose salary are you going to withhold? Because the heads of departments, the duty bearers, they are working. Research fellows are at post, they are working. Academic counselors are here, they are working. So how are you going to do the segregation even in terms of withholding salaries? That is a slippery road. Let's not begin to threaten people with that. I want to believe that if we bring our minds together as people of the academic community,
Dr. Bwedi Kusi, you've had ample time to, expatiate on the matters. Ofosu Asam, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still with you.
Great. So quite a few issues. One, your hardball position is not helping. Your litigating in court is not helping. And Dr. Bwedi Kusi is also suggesting that you could have used other alternatives to arrive at the same end, rather than say we're going to litigate. He's calling on the Education Minister and others to step in. What is your take?
Yes, I want to thank him very much. But one thing I will let you know is that I'm the Executive Secretary of the Commission. I am not the Commission. I don't take the decision, but I enforce them. I cannot get up and go to court without the blessing of the Commission. That is one thing you know. Because when you look at my letters I sign on behalf of the Commission, I swear to affidavit of facts of the things that happen at the Commission. So I don't think I should be blamed for going to court.
So are you saying it was not your decision? Just to clarify, it was not your decision to go to court.
And I cannot. And where we have to enforce the decisions, we have no option. That is what the law says. When there's no compliance, go to court. And when
now you have an option. The court has given you an option.
Why are we afraid of the court? You lashing me for going to court?
And I'm saying that, you see, the learned judge has said that we could have gone the extra mile, and that is simply the point I am making.
After you have refused the directive, and look,
there is a reason.
Have you been reading the Facebook comments and the things, including yesterday, what your secretary has been putting out there, Professor Jampo, to say? He says you will not comply today or tomorrow, even if all of you have to go to prison and they say, please. So what do we do?
Yeah. So, Mr. Fosuasama, you see,
and this, you see, he's a professor.
Speaks,
he's the secretary of the University of Ghana, one of the biggest.
Our legal representative made it clear what our official position is. So I would want to please see, now I'm speaking as a union leader. At the same time, I'm speaking as somebody who is interested in having a resolution because I'm a Ghanaian, and we do not want, because we do not even want people to suggest that we are taking government to ransom and we are, no, it is not a political game. I am saying that let us not look at one comment from, comment from somebody.
Fortunate, but especially when you put it out there that I have been giving a car, I have been doing it, that's why I'm doing that. At the Joy FM where we are sitting, don't they give their staff cars to perform work? I said, don't you tag, I saw your president, you brought your car. So if I'm going to court, should I be walking or sitting? Is it an issue in what you want? You put it on Facebook, everybody is reading, the executive secretary has been given a car, he goes to court because the judge sitting there is an Article 71 worker staff, his pay has increased by 70%, that's why I'm taking it there. You see, when you do that, it's not fair. All of us will want to sit and look at it. But when you take issues out of content, what is wrong with me driving a car? After all, didn't I own a car before being appointed? Is it an issue? Is it part of the demands of the UTAG? Which car I am driving? You see, so very sorry it has got to that level. But sometimes, let us look at this thing. And when it comes like that, this is a secretary of no less a branch, less than 15 minutes. Go and look at what was put out there. If you put on the Facebook and you don't know whether I'm a boy or a man, and all this thing, what does it mean? I am a lawyer. I could have also been lecturing in the university. Or because I find myself at the Labour Commission, all of a sudden I've become some riffraff. So, Doc, please, let's settle the issues. We know you have issues. That is why we are saying it is only in this country that when you drive a car, as if it is something. And this car is an official car for my duty. I couldn't have been working from my house to what we call the court, or to our branches, our offices in Kumasi and Takrady. It's to serve you, to serve the people of Ghana.
Dr. Bwedi Kusi, what can the NLC expect of you come Monday? You have the executive secretary here. I want you to reiterate what they can expect of you.
There is a scheduled National Executive Committee meeting later today, and I want to believe that NEC with the legal counsel will take a good decision, because everybody is interested in resolution of the matter. One thing that I know when we appeared before the commissioners, Mr. Ofosu Asamoah was present, would listen. But one thing that I want all of us, which if we really want to get out of this, as I have intimated earlier, is that at least let us acknowledge. And I remember at the last sitting, the commissioners acknowledged that there were issues to be dealt with. And the employer side should also acknowledge that, yes, you have issues. Let's propose ways out. We want to deal with it in A, B, C, D way, which is more acceptable to everybody. I mean, to have this lack of trust. And let me say that the trust is not just with the employer side or the government side. The trust is even between we, the leaders, and sometimes even our members. Sometimes our members feel that if care is not taken, somebody may give them out. So it's a much more complicated matter. And so when we are dealing with these issues, we expect that, as I have stated, we will be transparent, we will be objective, we know the difficulties that are there, but at least let us acknowledge and then talk to the lecturers that this is what we, A, B, C, D is what we can do, A, B, C, D, or X, Y, Z is what we cannot do, given the space. If we move away from the entrenched and hardline talk, we should be able to get this done.
Okay. Mr. Ofosu Asamoah, your final words. I mean, what can UTAG also expect from you on Monday?
Yes, my final word, I want to urge my senior brother, very good friend, and fellow Ghanaians to approach the commission with their interest and be ready to negotiate in good faith for us to all have this matter settled as quickly as practicable, so that they will get what they want, and then everybody lives in peace in Ghana. In fact, we are suffering. Our children are in the university doing nothing, and hope that it doesn't happen again, and pray that we all approach Monday with a good heart and have the matter resolved. Sorry for anything that might help them.
We're so grateful, Mr. Ofosu Asamoah, that you joined the conversation, and we wish you the very best ahead of Monday. Mr. Ofosu Asamoah, Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission. Do we still have Mr. Abua on the line? All right, Mr. Abua, your concluding comments in just some 40 seconds for us.
Yeah, please, I'm on the line.
Right, please go ahead. Your summary comments, maybe some 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm very glad that the Executive Secretary is doing a great job out there, especially with the conversation he just ended up with, them being optimistic that on Monday there will be a resolution. That is all what we all yearn for. We all yearn to see if the student continue not to go to class, it will be a big effect. There will be a huge deficit on the academic calendar. So I would say a very big thank you to all student leaders that are pushing for UTAG and government to have a better long-term resolution so that it doesn't always affect the students. we could see that it's always the students that suffers when such strikes are being on.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Abua. Emmanuel Bachi Adam, if you're there, just to be fair, let me give you 30 seconds as well. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, I'm here.
Right.
Yeah, I think the issues that the leadership of NUPS have always been laying before Ghanaians have been made a bit clear here. The issue of trust made clear here. But there's one thing that I'm very happy of. When the UTAG rep on the show, Dr. Beth Pusi, was complaining about utterances from the NLC. I think NLC executive secretary, on the other hand, was also complaining about certain utterances from certain quarters of UTAG. Now, I believe these are things that are one way or the other drawing their negotiations backwards. Yes. So as we move forward, I as an individual, they put out or they put across, because it is rather distorting and disturbing the whole negotiation processes. And then on our last but we would also
we have to wrap it here. We have to wrap it here.
We would also want to plead with both parties that as they re-enter into negotiations, they should go with open minds, with the Ghanaian student in mind, and with the position that they are going to make peace a lasting one, and nothing more, nothing less.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Ofosua Samoa, Dr. Bert Wedikusi, Mr. Abua, and all of you for joining the conversation. Before I wrap, of course, if you love my elegant outfit, it's by Catherine Gordon of Catherine Garments. You can locate them in Medina New Road near the Rolling Circle. On Instagram, Catherine_Garments. On Facebook, Catherine Garments, GH. The number 0277 5800 50. 0277 580 050. Well, this is how we say goodbye to you. It's been an interesting week, and hopefully on Monday we'll find out what happens on this UTAG situation. My name is Benjamin Akako. Thank you for staying on the AM show. We have news at 10 and at noon. Do stay.